With that, I would like to thank Mr. Matthew Adam for joining us today and sharing that insight. Thank you very much. Now we stay in the region with tensions over Venezuela running high. US President Donald Trump has confirmed that he recently spoke with Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro, though Trump has refused to provide further details on what the two leaders discussed. Let's in fact listen into what the US President has shared.
The New York Times reported that you had a phone call with Maduro. Did you?
I don't want to comment on it. The answer is yes.
And can you tell us a little bit
No,
about
I can't do that.
Mr. President, would you say it went well?
I would say it went well or badly. It was a phone call.
The disclosure comes as Trump strikes a tough tone on Venezuela while still leaving the door open to diplomacy. Just a day earlier, he has said that airspace over and around Venezuela should be considered closed in its entirety, a remark that sparked confusion in Caracas. When pressed on whether military action was imminent, Trump has said that not to read anything into it. His team has been weighing new steps against Maduro, whom Washington accuses of ties to the illegal drug trade, an allegation the Venezuelan leader firmly denies. Now for this discussion, we welcome Ms. Daniela Bloom. She's a political commentator, joins us live from Los Angeles. Thank you very much, Daniela, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, Daniela, looking at this, what strategic objectives might the U.S. be pursuing by, publicly revealing a phone call with Maduro while simultaneously escalating the rhetoric and pressure on Venezuela?
Yeah, I mean, it's a phone call. We don't have all the details. I think that's part of the leverage and negotiation. The fact that even a phone call took place shows that the pressure that Trump has recently put on Venezuela is working. And Trump is wanting to have some resolution because Venezuela is one of the biggest problems with illegal immigration. It is known to have connections to U.S. adversaries of Russia and China. And there's a huge drug trafficking problem. Not to mention that Venezuela has the world's largest proven oil reserves, which can come in very handy in terms of negotiating away from the energy strongholds that Iran and Russia have. So this is important to Trump on many different levels, but he's always going to come from a place of strength and leverage and not show his cards.
Right. And how could Trump's ambiguous statements, since you also rightfully mentioned, and we don't know exactly what was discussed, about ambiguous statements of Trump about Venezuela's airspace being closed in its entirety, how do you think this is affecting regional stability and relations with Latin American governments of U.S.?
I think it's very effective. I think Trump is showing through action, not just through diplomacy and sanctions alone. He is doing far more than that. He is creating an environment where commercial airlines are leaving. He is stopping ships. He is taking direct phone calls. He is moving the needle much more so than previous administrations. And he's not afraid to flex his muscles and powers, especially when American interests are at stake. And this is sending a message, a wider message across the whole region.
And what do you think, what are the political risks and benefits for Washington in this balancing a tough stance on Maduro with keeping diplomatic channels still open?
Yes, it is a tough stance, and there's constantly a divide in Washington. But again, Trump was elected primarily on his stances on immigration. You had wide open borders for years and years, and sometimes you need a very strong correction, sometimes an overcorrection. But our immigration has significantly decreased, and all that money and resources that was spent on illegal aliens can go back to the Americans, and his approval rating regarding that shows a positive reflection.
Can you tell us more about these approval rating, as I myself and also maybe our viewers don't know about this?
So there was a poll that I saw, a legitimate poll, and I think it was played on a network that is not necessarily a pro-Trump conservative network, and they were shocked to share that at the time of his election, he was at 87% approval. And when there was a new poll just done recently, it continued to stay at 87%. So as much as some of our divisive media in America shows a lot of people being unfavorable towards his aggressions with ICE and swiftly returning many illegals back to their countries of origin, people are actually still very much appreciative of that and see its importance and see its merit and putting Americans first. And when you have veterans and tax-paying people who are homeless, who can't get medical care, can't get their kids into school because of this wave of illegal aliens, and it starts to affect your own communities, you want better leadership, and that is what Trump has been delivering.
Right, and thank you for sharing that. And lastly, to what extent could these mixed messaging from the US administration and also Venezuela, very kind of strict talks or stance from Venezuela, potentially, how do you think this is potentially increasing the chances of unintended escalation?
The fact that there's communication is everything. It's about, you can make a deal with anybody, even if you don't like them, even if you have different objectives. But the fact, I think it's too soon to tell. The fact that a phone call happened is significant in itself. No one saw that this would happen 6 months ago. So let's see what happens. I think Trump is very right to not disclose too much because people, speculators, they run with it. When Trump has something to report, we will hear about it, trust me, and he will want the credit.
Right. Thank you for highlighting that, Daniela. Great learning from you. Please stay with us as we come back to you for our next discussion as well. Now, moving on, Pope Leo has delivered a speech in Lebanon where he has repeated his call for representatives to do their part to help achieve peace in the region. Speaking in a room with several senior government and religious figures, the Pope has praised the Lebanese people for their resilience. Let's listen in.
Almost everywhere in the world around us, a kind of pessimism and sense of powerlessness seem to have taken hold, where people are no longer able to ask themselves what they can do to change the course of history. Major decisions appear to be taken by a select few, often to the detriment of the common good, as if this were an inevitable destiny. You have suffered greatly from the consequences of an economy that kills, from global instability that has devastating repercussions also in the Levant, and from the radicalization of identities and conflicts. But you have always wanted and known how to stop.
But meanwhile, Lebanese citizens and visitors have lined up the streets to catch a glimpse of Pope Leo upon his arrival in the country. The first U.S. Pope has arrived in Lebanon from Turkey, where he has been visiting for 4 days. The Pope has warned that humanity's future is at risk because of the world's unusual number of bloody conflicts and has condemned violence in the name of religion. Let's in fact listen into how Lebanese citizens have reacted.
بدي اقول له يصلي لنا تنزرع المحبة بقلوب العالم، بقلوب السياسيين قبل الكل. بدنا يزرع السلام بقلوب السياسة لنعيش حياة مريحة بلبنان. نحن شعب منا مرتاح بلبنان. إن شاء الله يا رب بمجده على لبنان يعم السلام، يعم الحب، تعم المحبة، وينور لنا بلادنا، ويحنن قلوب القاسة، النواب والوزراء والكل